Salvete omnes. I don't know if using these phrases will make you sound smart or pretentious, but they'll certainly help you learn Latin. Before we start, I'd like to give a shout out to my patrons. I really appreciate your support. Thanks so much. We'll start with some easy ones. I'm sure you have used this phrase, et cētera. We know that et means and, while the word cētera means other things, or the rest. And the ancient Romans did use this phrase the same way we do in English. However, we can also use the second word on its own, as in the next two sentences. Cētera non legi. I didn't read the rest. Cētera ubi sunt? Where's the rest? The next phrase you've probably heard in crime dramas. Post mortem. After death. This should be pretty clear since in English we have several words pertaining to death with the root mort, like mortal, mortician, mortuary, etc. But as you might have guessed, mortem is the accusative or object form, which is apparent in the next two sentences. Nihil post mortem. There is nothing after death. Here the word est is left unstated since it's obvious and the statement has more impact without it. And the word nihil should be familiar from the words nihilism and annihilate. Mortem non timeo. I don't fear death. You can see the connection between the last word and timid, right? And a related phrase is rigor mortis. The stiffness of death. Here mortis is the genitive or possessive form, so it's like saying of death or death's stiffness. Mortem has the stem mort in all its declensions except the nominative or subject form where it becomes mors certa est. Death is certain. The next word is also one you will probably have heard in crime dramas, although with a slightly different pronunciation. Alibī. This word actually means elsewhere, or somewhere else in Latin. So you see, when you provide an alibi, you are saying that you were somewhere else when the crime was committed. But this word has a wider range of use in Latin. Maximus alibī habitabat. Maximus was living somewhere else. The next phrase is mea culpa. My fault. This second word is contained in the English culpable, or deserving blame. Hoc erat mea culpa. This was my fault. Remember, we have seen hic and haec for referring to male and female things. Hoc is the neutral version used both to refer to neutral things and also to unspecified things. A culpa absunt. They are not to blame. As you might have guessed, absunt means they are absent. And here, a means from, and it triggers the ablative, as you can see. So this literally means they are absent from blame. The next phrase was made very famous in America in recent years. Quid pro quo. In order to understand this a little better, try to guess what the preposition pro does to the word that follows it. It triggers the ablative. Quo is just the ablative form of quid. So this phrase literally means what for what. It's just that Latin grammar changes the form of the word what. Quid is the subject or nominative form for the neutral case, while quis is the masculine and feminine form. Can you remember how to say, what are you doing? Quid facis. We'll see this word facis again later. And another phrase using pro is the following. Pro bono. This is often thought of as without charge, but we can see that it means for good. And the next phrase is terra incognita. Unknown land. Remember, in is a prefix meaning un or non, like in infinite. And you can see the connection between cognita and cognitive. This word cognita means known from experience or recognized. See if you can recognize the next sentence. Potius diabolus cognitus, quam incognitis angelis. Better the devil you know than the angel you don't. Potius quam means rather than. We saw this word quam in the phrase melius quam, or better than. And note the flexibility of the adjective placement in the sentence. You might not have heard the next one, but it's also used sometimes in English. Vox populi. This means the voice of the people in Latin. But in English, it is used with the sense more of the opinions or beliefs of the majority. And populi is the genitive form, so this would be what declension? Second, here's another sentence. Vox feminae senes est. It's the voice of an old woman. Here both feminae and senes are in the genitive form. And can you guess how to say, we are the people? Populus sumus. The next is very common. Magnum opus. Literally great work, but usually used to refer to the most important work of an artist or writer, etc. This word opus means work or accomplishment, as in work of art, literature, etc. And actually, the plural form is opera, which is where the word in English comes from. Maybe because operas have multiple acts or multiple art forms. This often gets paired with the word facio in the following way. Domi opus facio. I work at home, or I'm working at home. This chunk, opus facio, is really useful if you want to talk about your work and really common. Also, domi is the locative form, which most words don't have, but it simply indicates where the action is done. And finally, one of the most famous Latin phrases is carpe diem. This is often translated as seize the day, but is more like make good use of the day. Carpe is a verb in the imperative or command form. However, it is perhaps more often used with the meaning to harvest or pick, as in the following. Valentina flores carpet. Valentina is picking flowers. Let me know in the comments if you've heard these phrases before and if you'd like more videos of this type. And if you'd like to support the channel as a patron, there's a link below. Gracias!